Welcome to another Sales Wisdom podcast. We have Jan Koniak with us today. He is founder and CEO at Untap Your Sales Potential. He's also CEO at a bunch of other organizations. So really glad to talk with him. Jan is a coach to the best AEs in the tech sectors. So we're going to talk about sales. We're going to talk about AEs. We're going to talk about SDR, GTM, everything in between. So this pod, just before we jump straight in, is brought to you by podpire.com. If you want to start, scale, or be invited to podcasts like this one, if you already have your pod, I can help you find sponsors. Podpire is my podcasting agency, and podcasts are just amazing. If you didn't know, like big news, flash news right here. You can learn from smart folks like Jan. You can network with them, grow your network as well, because you can develop some leads and some clients off podcasting. So Podpire for that. Jan, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and about what you're up to nowadays.
Oh, I guess on the personal side, I am married. I have two young boys, so it's three of us. I am CEO of Untap Your Sales Potential. So we are an Inc. 5,000 company, or we're tracking to be an Inc. 5,000 company. We're rapidly growing, and I have a team, but essentially we coach salespeople on how to perform to their full potential, just like the name implies, but not just in sales, but in all areas of life, across their health, across their relationships, across their spirituality. And it really is a holistic approach. It's a 1-year program focused on helping salespeople be the best they can be in all walks of life. So it's been my dream come true.
Congrats. Who do you target in your business, and what do you help your clientele achieve as per their goals and their sales goals?
I mean, initially, who we target is tech salespeople. So people who work maybe at Salesforce.com or Microsoft or Oracle or Workday, tech, selling SaaS mostly, or selling software. Usually it's people that I'd say their income level is probably 150 to 300K is the sweet spot. And they're trying to get to that level of making north of $500,000 a year. And they just don't know how to get there. And if you go on RepView, and if you actually do a lot of research on the tech sales industry, you have a lot of companies and a lot of individuals that are making over $1 million a year selling software, which is really unthinkable for most of us, considering the average household income is around $60,000 in the US. To make $1 million a year as a salesperson, for me, is I didn't know how I could do it. And I got into Salesforce and I ended up doing it. And so now I teach people how to do it. And it's really about evolving from more of a transactional type seller to a more strategic seller. So I have a lot of people that are, it's hard to get to that top level, especially if you're selling to enterprises or if you're selling to large companies. It takes a while. So these skills aren't taught by most companies. And so the people who come to me are the ones that aren't getting help from their manager. They're not getting help from their company, and they just don't know what to do, and they're frustrated. So I help them and teach them exactly what the playbook that I use and what many people in my program have used to be able to cross the chasm and get to that elite level coaching in sales performance.
And what's that TLDR of your playbook?
When you say TLDR?
Too long didn't read.
Too long didn't read. Gosh.
AKA the short version of your playbook.
3 things: mindset, habits, and selling skills. Mindset is how you think, right? Which determines how you feel. How you feel determines what you do, and what you do determines your results. So if you do something without feeling great about it, or embodying love and service, or having a high energy, you're not going to do it as well as if you're in a peak state. I see you run 3 Ironmans. You know this. I run marathons. I know this. When you feel your best, you can sell your best. So mindset is about the mindset of a sales champion. It's getting to all in. It's getting clarity on what you want. It's working and living with integrity, meaning your behaviors and your actions match your values. So that's kind of the mindset 101. There's so much more in that, but mindset is how we think. Habits is what we do. It's how we organize our day. It's what we focus on. It's having the right plan in place. It's making time for working on the business versus in the business. In other words, instead of working reactively, it's working proactively on the right plans. And then selling skills is how we sell. It's actually getting to power. It's the messaging that you send to executives that's going to resonate. It's how you engage with them in that first meeting. It's running a sales cycle. It's multi-threading, putting together proposals and business case and closing. So it really is the TLDR is that there's no easy button for being a phenomenal seller. You're not getting paid $1 million a year to be able to come in here and, me tell you in an hour or a day or even a week or a book even that, here's what you're going to do to change your life. And I think that's what the sales training industry is. There's a lot of, oh, you do this, you prospect here, you get that. Or if you close this way, or no, that's not reality. You have to work on how you think, what you do, and how you sell. And so that's the main thing I want people to take away is it takes time, and you really do need to invest in yourself and really make your development a priority to become the person that's capable of selling at that level versus just trying to take the tactics that let you sell at that level, because it doesn't work until you're willing to be humbled and actually invest in yourself and really admit that maybe you don't know what you're doing. So that's kind of step one is be ready. And then step two is work on your mind, your habits, and your selling skills. And step three is watch the results unleash themselves, because they always do when you put in the work.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff. What did you learn from your time at Salesforce working for Mr. Benioff?
Yeah, a couple of things. I was there almost 9 years, so I spent a good amount of time there. First and foremost, the number one thing I learned was that strategic selling is hard. You see, if you're selling, I was in the enterprise space at Salesforce, meaning I was selling to companies like Berkshire Hathaway or Experian and Jacuzzi, Activision, Blizzard, some really, really large companies. And what I came into Salesforce was this real kind of high confidence. My first 10 years of my career before Salesforce, I was a very, very high performer in sales, but I was selling copy machines and printers. I was selling a more transactional, commoditized product. And in that world, activity yields pipeline, yields results, meaning if you put in the work and you do enough activity, you're going to get the pipeline, you're going to get the results. But when you're going from that world to enterprise sales, where you only have a handful of customers, those principles don't apply the same way. You still have to put in activity. You still have to prospect to create meetings, to create opportunities. Of course, that's sales 101, any segment. But what's different is once you get in the door, companies don't buy just because you have a good pitch. They don't buy because you have a great product. Okay. They buy for different reasons than people buy a copy or a printer, which is, either what they have is broken or not performing, or they want to save money, right? That's typically the reason. In a large enterprise, especially for software, people are buying because they have an outcome or goal across their company that they're trying to achieve. And either you are one person or company that can help them achieve the goal, or you're just a distraction, or you're not a priority. They're focused on their goals. And if you show up and throw up and pitch a bunch and you're not actually in tune with what they're trying to accomplish, what specifically their priorities are, what their goals are, you're not going to succeed. And that's the way I was selling at Salesforce in the beginning. And because of that, I missed my quota 3 years in a row. Then I decided to get help. I invested $20,000 in my own money, and I hired a coach. I joined a mastermind, and I started actually entering the world of personal development. Okay. And once I entered that world, I realized it wasn't about me. It wasn't about my product. It wasn't about my pitch. What it was about is what I can do for other people. And I started showing up with a heart of service and really trying to take an interest in what my clients' most ambitious goals were, what their challenges were, what problems they had, what pains they had. And then if it was a fit, and only then, that's when I would start positioning how and where I can help. And it really was spending more time understanding first where they're at, where they were trying to go, and seeing if I could help. So I think that was the biggest lesson I learned at Salesforce is if you want to get to that top, you have to shift from an inward me focus to an outward you focus. Help other people get what they want, and you will always get what you want. And I've kind of taken that approach the past 7 years, and I've applied it to my coaching business. I've applied it to, how I serve my clients. And honestly, the money just flows. It's beyond my wildest dreams when you're thinking about how you can help other people. So that's the number one lesson I would apply is sales is just such an industry focused on quota and pressure and attainment, especially in the high pressure world of tech sales. And you got to kind of look past all that and think about, what do I need to do every single day? Focus on the process, not the prize, and show up with the heart of service. And generally things work out pretty darn well when you do that.
Don't show up and throw up, people. Don't show up and throw up. That is one. Two, if you are always willing to help others, yes, 100%, you'll get success. I would add two caveats to that. Like, one, you need to have an epic product, right? Salesforce was that for you. Now you're
Yes.
coaching.
Yes. Yeah. My
And
coaching is an epic product. You got to have a good product that you believe in, for sure.
right,
I'm with that for
right.
sure.
Because if you have a shit product, like even if you try to help people, you'll end up throwing up on
You
them.
can't help them if you have a shit product, right? You
Yeah.
can't.
Right, right. Because sometimes as salespeople, we're good at convincing ourselves of some stuff that is non-existent. And the second caveat is that is also true if you are if your target market are virtuous people and people at the top. Because if you try to serve losers are win losers type of, so they're like, I'll take from you and I'll never get back. So make sure that your target market are virtuous people, quote unquote, successful folks. Like sometimes I see people targeting, B2C, for example. They give it their all to consumers, and yeah, consumers at some level, some strata of society, they never give back. So just two important caveats here.
I want to add to that second one. So when you say virtuous, I think it's not so much the character of the person or just that they're nice. I think it's a commitment to a partnership. So in other words, if they're just taking and they're not giving you their financials, they're not giving you their current state, they're not giving you discovery, they're not giving you time, they're not giving you communication, that's not an equal partnership. And you have to be equal with them. So I just want to add that to win the big deals, you need to, if I'm going to invest my team, my engineers, my resources, my legal, all my people for winning these big deals, you better be committed to equally investing your team. So that's kind of, I set that expectation from the beginning that, this is a two-way street. So if we're going to work together and I'm going to make this commitment, here's what my expectations are, of you during this process. And I think that sets a standard because they'll realize, hey, this is a big deal to go down this path together. And if we're going to do it, I need to get my team involved. And you'll weed out the people that aren't willing to give early on in the cycle. Right. So that part of your process for sure.
And that is why TikTok and Facebook and porn is free, by the way. That's because the consumers are like too low to pay and you need to harvest their data. Anyway, small comment on that one.
Which is why I don't go on TikTok, Facebook, and porn.
Exactly.
Those are three things that are not part of my life.
I go on Twitter though, like nowadays I consume bits of knowledge in there, and I use the not interested button quite a lot for people that want to get education out of these platforms.
Well, you're too busy running Ironmans. I'm too busy serving my family and honestly, just trying to filter the noise. You don't want to take noise. This is all the mindset stuff. It's like, where are you getting your information? I don't have time for that shit. I don't want to read the news and hear about people and all fucked up situations honestly, it's not about shielding or being in a bubble, but I kind of like my bubble. I love my family. I love my kids. I love the people I surround myself. I serve my clients. That's all I need. I don't need all this outside negativity. So that's why I don't go on social, porn, news, all this stuff. It's really kind of bad for it's horrible for your brain. Yes. What you take in means you're not creating. And when you're not creating, you're not, making the world better. So I think that's really important.
And the issue with society, Yan, is that like when you start at the bottom of the scale, you are so susceptible to these addictions. So I think it's the role of either educators or the government, quote unquote, to put limitations on that, because young minds are really susceptible to that.
True.
Yeah, I was addicted to video games and all of these things, and not sure how I got out of it. Maybe it was through personal development, like you did. I still remember my mom buying me Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich at 20. I think that marked a turning point in my life.
I love it. Yeah, I love outwitting the devil too. But again, fundamentally, you have these things with entrepreneurs. You're a CEO, I'm a CEO. You have these things in common, which is they're busy, working on things that matter versus consuming. And it's not people's fault because they're young and it's like dopamine central. And there's just so much information and so much immediate gratification out there. It is very it's building neural pathways in the brain that are very hard to break. And I see that. I also, I've been in addiction recovery for 3.5 years, and I stopped watching porn. I stopped getting drunk, smoking pot, taking Adderall. I had so many addictions. So part of my journey was, once I started subtracting a lot of that stuff, that's when the real space for, for creativity and growth and service and faith and all these other things started entering my life. But it requires removing that shit, the toxins first, before you can have space to even open up. So that's why, again, I'm grateful for a lot of the recovery work that I've done. And that's what led to me starting my business, frankly.
Right. And, that's where capitalism is wrong, when these companies taking advantage of that, like even big food companies, all the additives and the crap that they put in food just for more profits, and to make you more addicted. More on that topic later for sure. I want to talk about like your time management nowadays, because you have a family, you have your course, you have your coaching, you have all of that. So how do you manage your time, and how do you get that much shit done in one day?
I should show you my calendar. Here I have a lot of tools. So what I'm showing right here is called the 12-week year. So the 12-week year is a great book that I've subscribed to for about 3 years, and I follow it every week. At the beginning of the week, I rank all the top priorities for the week, and then I put them in order of importance. Okay. So I data dump what I want to do, I rank them, and then I block my calendar with 1 at the beginning of the day through 3 or 4. So I don't have any white space on my calendar for that day, 1 day at a time. But here's the key. In the beginning of the week, I write down and rank all my priorities. So I don't have to think in the beginning of the day. It's already there. I probably have, on any given day, 4 or 5 or 6 meetings that are coaching sessions. And then in between, I might have 2 or 3 hours of white space. And now I know, because I've taken the time to prioritize what I'm doing, what comes first. So that's the first step, is having a system for weekly planning, and then daily calendar blocking is the second step. The third thing I do, which is unrelated, but it's really important, is I set boundaries. So I start work at 8 and I stop at 6. And there's a rule in sales, not in sales, in business, really. It's called Parkinson's Law. And Parkinson's Law says that work expands to fill the time allotted. So if I give 80 hours to something, I'll get the same amount of work done in 80 hours as I will in 40 hours, because I'm actually less efficient, and I don't prioritize or delegate as much when I'm doing 8 hours of work. I'm just taking everything. So for me, working only 8 to 6 with a 1 hour break where I have lunch with my wife forces me in those 9 hours to really be diligent about what I'm saying yes to. And then I say no to the rest. So for me, it's like, when you work a full day and you've already set your boundaries and you've maximized that full white space, and you've executed on the things that you said you're going to do, you can be fully present with family. You can be fully present. I have a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they're, very demanding. I have a wife who's a full-time mom. She wants my presence. So is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn good, where when I'm done, I can be present with my kids because I've done all I can for that day. So my rule in time management is really simple. It's the golden rule of time management that I created. And it says this: it says, the quality of time you spend working will determine both the quality and quantity of time you spend outside of work. Okay. Meaning that if you spend high quality work, you can actually get a lot of shit done in a short amount of time if you stay focused and prioritized. So I don't have my apps on my phone. I don't have a bunch of tabs open. I'm just doing the thing that I'm supposed to do and laser focus, because I know that if I don't get it done, it's going to creep into night. And then I'm going to be thinking about it. I'm going to have anxiety with my family, and I'm probably not going to have as much time with them because I'll have to pull up the laptop. I did that for many years, and it was shitty on my personal life. So I finally said, enough is enough. I need to maximize my work hours so that I can actually let go when I'm done with work and be present. And that's really made all the difference for me, is just having those boundaries set for time management.
What led you to
I love the question. I love that question.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's quite important, and it gets you thinking as per how could you eventually deploy AI agents that would work for you. I mean, my business is international, so I have clients around the clock, so I can pulse at like 10 p.m. and it's 8 a.m. in Australia. So that has been one of my top goals for a while. But then how can I have, I mean, I don't even need to have AI. I already have emails going out at 8 a.m. Australia time when I'm sleeping. But my true dream my AI wet dream is certainly to have a bunch of agents working for me while I sleep and generating a shitload of money. I don't think we're that far away from that. I want to ask you though, like Salesforce, why did you drop off, and why did you started your own business? Like, what led you to that?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that I had was a near-death experience in 2019. So I got stuck upside down on a roller coaster, hanging for 30 minutes. Yeah,
What
it
the
was.
fuck?
Yeah, if you go to my YouTube channel, I have a video posted with some footage from it. It was insane, and we were up there hanging, and my life just flashed before my eyes. And I have to go after this question, but I had a come to Jesus where it was really like, if I died right now, I would have learned all these things, had all these amazing lessons, and kept everything to myself. In other words, I wouldn't have actually made the world better. And I had the realization that I had been extremely selfish, that I had all these learnings and knowledge and just been my whole life pursuing money and pursuing external success, but I actually hadn't given anything or served any people. And I said, if I died right now, all the gifts that I've been given from God would have been wasted and died with me. And I said, I will not let that happen. And I started praying. I said, God, please get me down from this coaster. I promise I'll start serving. I promise I'll start giving back. And the coaster did not move. And then I said, God, I promise I'll do it now. I'm not going to wait. And then the coaster took off. And it was like, it was one of those divine interventions where it was like, okay, well, I guess I have to keep my promise. And it really was at that moment that I said, I'm going to start serving. And my whole first year of coaching, I didn't even have a business. I was just posting videos and trying to help people from heart of service. And it evolved where a lot of people started coming to me and they wanted to pay me for, coaching. And then that eventually became a full-time business. So it started with the desire to give back and serve, and it evolved into what now is a very, very successful coaching business that's completely sold out. So it's been awesome.
Hey, I want to selfishly dive into the being stuck upside down. So you were literally with the safety bar stuck upside down for 30 minutes, and you stayed there, like the blood going through your brain for 30 minutes?
It was a flying coaster. So we were hanging down. The safety bar was right here, and all of our weight was hanging down 180 feet in the air. Yeah, it was, people were passing out on the coaster. It was the scariest thing that I've ever been through in my life by far.
So were you alone, or were you with your kids?
I was with my brother. He was next to me. And then we had gone to Six Flags together. And then there was a bunch of people on the coaster with us. So people were screaming, people were passing out, literally. I mean, it was the scariest thing that I've ever been through. It was
people were panicking, and you couldn't do a thing, and you had all this cortisol going.
Didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah, it was like, it was genuinely beyond. I mean, it was beyond scary. I have a picture because I give a keynote when I when I do sometimes I'll do talks, and I gave a keynote, and it's, people ask me, well, why are you here? What specifically is your why? And I always start with, here's how I got here. And I show this picture, and this was me, literally, I'll just show you, that's me hanging. And this is what it was. It was a safety bar below us, and we were hanging straight down. So we're staring. That was the view that I was looking down at. Nothing below me, because the track was above us, because it was a flying coaster. So I'm literally hanging with all my weight on this little bar, hanging down 180 feet in the air. And it was
so your head was literally upside down, right?
Yeah, we were like this.
Oh
we were
my
like
God.
This. It was horrible. So yeah, that was my divine intervention.
Did they get sued, or?
No. Apparently it's happened before. It wasn't the first time. They offered me a free pass to skip all the lines.
Fuck that.
But we were so traumatized. We just took off, left the park.
Yeah, and I can only imagine like old ladies panicking the fuck out and making others panic, and like an unvirtuous cycle of panic in that, and people just, things getting worse and worse. And then the ride picked up at full speed, and you had another ride to get back.
Yeah, that's right. Then we were already there, and then the ride, it was at the beginning. It was right before the big drop. So yeah, then we had the ride, and it was all kind of a blur after that. But
then there was like not nice panic. Oh my God. Okay.
And I wish that upon everyone. I really do. I wish people have a wake-up call where they realize that life is really short. It could end any time, and then they should go for what they want, because it changed my life forever. So even though it was scary at the time, I'm grateful that happened, because I took it to heart.
Wow, dude. Okay, well, that was incredible. Maybe we should have started with that. But thank you for the value today, Jan. Can you tell us where to find out more about you?
Sure. LinkedIn is probably the best place to go. So just go to Ian Koniak, IANKONIAK. Follow me on LinkedIn, and I put sales content out every day, or YouTube, which is my channel, Ian Koniak. If you want coaching or you're interested in my courses, visit untapyoursalespotential.com. That's untapyoursalespotential.com.
And thank you for the inspiration. I might start a near-death experience podcast. So that was.
I would love that. I'll be your first guest if you do it.
I have a bunch because
I think you should. I think you should.
Death is fascinating to me. Like first it's memento mori, the Stoic expression to value every day. That's like how I got started with that. And as a biohacker and a longevity guide, I don't want to die. I'll do everything in my power not to die. So anyway, I'll invite you to that one. So that was another Sales Wisdom Pod with Jan Koniak. I'm your host, Charles Cormier. You can find us also under ceowisdompodcast.com. And if you want to start scale, be invited to a podcast, you can go to podpire.com. That was, again, Jan Koniak.